YouTube, what is going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Down Podcast. First live stream in quite some time, a handful of months, and prior to that, a handful of years. I think this is going to be a common thing that is happening on this channel moving forward, being as though I'm a little bit more in a time crunch on my day-to-day. However, welcome back. Day one of NFL free agency. A lot got done today. A lot happened in Chicago. We're going to talk through it all. The legal tampering period opened this morning at 11 a.m. Central Time, gave the Bears the ability to be able to talk to anyone they want. We knew the Bears had to build the trenches coming into free agency. They acquired 2 offensive linemen last week. They add to that this morning and then address the defensive side of the ball big time. Before I get into this a little bit further, I do want to say, trying to make a comeback here on YouTube, trying to be a lot more consistent. Once again, my name is Chris Maltby. It's an absolute pleasure. The OGs that are here in the chat, appreciate you as always. But do me a favor, drop a like, comment, subscribe before we hop in here. The support is greatly appreciated. And we've got more coming. Going to try and start live streaming, I think, on a weekly basis. That's only going to pick up as the season continues to roll closer. Taking a look, let's start here. With what the Bears, and I guess we can just do this chronologically, with where Chicago went today and how they improved the team. So let's start by taking a look at Drew Dahlman, the center that they signed about 20 minutes into the tampering period. They agreed to a deal here. 3 years, $42 million, $28 million guaranteed for Dahlman. He's joining Chicago after a couple of years in Atlanta, but his first non-Bears team first non-Falcons team is going to be the Chicago Bears. It was reported by CBS Sports' Jonathan Jones a little bit after this signing went down that Dahlman actually took less money to come join Caleb Williams and be in Chicago. So it turns out that not only did Dahlman have a hot market itself, being as it seems like he had potential suitors outside of Chicago who offered him more money, but he wanted to be in Chicago, which is awesome. The type of thing that you want to see in the locker room, which is awesome. So good to see all the support in the chat. EJ, appreciate you. Notorious TBG, appreciate the comment. Good to be back streaming, man. Good to be back in general. It's been quite some time, but we really want to revamp this, and the streaming is really something that saves me time personally. So taking a look at some more stats on Dahlman, NFL Next Gen Stats reported that Dahlman allowed the 5th lowest pressure rate amongst centers in the league last year when one-on-one coverage, in one-on-one matchups. So love to see that. He was the 4th best center in the league in 2024, and he has been top 5 the last 2 seasons, according to Pro Football Focus. And then his PFF grade is 84.8, dating back to the 2023-2024 season, which is going to be the 5th best amongst all eligible starting centers in the NFL. So a great addition here. I mean, I spoke about it in the video a couple of days ago. It was great to see Ryan Poles at the Combine less than 2 weeks ago come out and say, we want to buy in. We want to get aggressive on the offensive line. We want to protect our quarterback, Caleb Williams, who was sacked more than anyone in the league in 2024. And he really put his money where his mouth is like he never has before. I think one of Poles' big criticisms since coming to Chicago has been his neglect for the offensive line, which is a little bit ironic being that he was an offensive line in the league, especially when he was on the Bears for a short little stint during training camp a long time ago. So good to see Poles finally step up, put his money where his mouth is in terms of the offensive line, not only with Dahlman, who he added today, but also Tooney and Jackson last week. there was a little bit of ambiguity, at least in my mind, as to whether the Bears were actually going to try and pull this one off this morning, being as though they obviously committed a lot of assets towards the offensive line last week. It wasn't essentially what I expected, that they were going to not only double, but triple down, because we just haven't seen this activity out of the Bears in recent years. So they had Drew Dahlman in less than a week. I mean, in 5 days, they completely revitalize and upgrade the entire interior offensive line. And the Bears now with Dahlman probably have the best center that they've had since arguably a couple of good years of Cody Whitehair. But in my opinion, probably the best center the team has had since Olin Kreutz. So a great addition there that continues to square away the offensive line. Aston Genty, we'll talk about the NFL draft a little bit further down in this one, but could be coming more and more into the limelight. So that most certainly is an interesting one. Moving into the Bears' next signing of the day, I'm totally going to butcher this name. Dayo Odeyingbo, I think is how you properly pronounce it. It's defensive end / defensive tackle, formerly with the Indianapolis Colts. I went to college in Indiana, know a ton of Colts fans. Generally speaking, Bears fans were not too happy about this one. Josh Sweat went to the Arizona Cardinals for only a couple more $1 million per year. So it's hard to see him go and be like, oh, we could have paid him that. It was an unfortunate start to the morning because Khalil Mack, who had, I believe, mutual interest with the Bears, is what was being reported, re-signed with the Los Angeles Chargers on an $18 million deal for 1 year. But the Bears pick up Odeyingbo on a 3-year, $48 million deal with $32 million guaranteed. He is 6'6", 286 pounds. He has 61 career games played in the league, where he's accumulated 106 tackles, 21 tackles for a loss, as well as five forced fumbles. In 2024, he had 3 sacks as well as 17 quarterback hits, and I believe 31 total tackles. In 2023, when Odeyingbo was a rotational piece with the Colts, it was really his breakout season in the league. He had 8 sacks that season. And then one thing to note about him as well is that he can line up at both the edge rusher position, which would be on the end, or he can bump into the middle and play defensive tackle. So it's interesting to note that he's got some versatility there. This was an interesting signing. You know, I really don't know what to make of this one, and I think I've got to see him play a little bit prior to actually giving my 2 cents on it. I think Dahlman, who I already spoke about, is going to be a good, solid addition. I think he's going to be one of Caleb Williams' best friends. But Odeyingbo is an interesting one because if you compare his stats with that of DeMarcus Walker, who the Bears brought in a couple of years ago, and obviously he's not around anymore, the stats last year are pretty similar, and the Bears are paying a hefty penny more for Odeyingbo to come in and be a starting piece on the defensive line. So is the production going to translate? We shall see. There's no denying that Odeyingbo is going to get a ton of one-on-one looks across from Montez Sweat. He's going to be expected to step up in big situations. I do feel good about him being in a Dennis Allen defense. There were actually people comparing on Twitter his height, weight, size, everything with that of Cam Jordan of the New Orleans Saints, who Allen obviously coached for a very long time. And they actually have pretty similar numbers in terms of how they line up. So I'm not saying that Odeyingbo is going to turn into Cam Jordan by any means, but Dennis Allen is someone who has made the best out of up-and-coming prospects on the defensive line. Khalil Mack, Trey Hendrickson now out of Cincinnati, who's seeking a trade. So all in all, I think this could be a decent signing. I mean, it obviously is one where the Bears are banking on him continuing to improve and becoming a good player and hoping that in that case, they got a bargain on this one. So we'll see how Odeyingbo continues to pan out. I think it's one where we can't really judge it until we see it. So also let me know, guys. Leave down in the comments your thoughts on some of these signings. I'll be sure to feature them. Notorious TPG says, I honestly thought after Dahlman we were done. Poles is surprising me. He's not messing around with his second shot at the rookie quarterback contract rebuild. Most certainly not. I think he knows what he's got with Caleb Williams. He knows he has to protect him. That's exactly what he's trying to do. So reshoring I guess, taping up the offensive line. Interior, we'll continue to see what happens at right tackle, probably Darnell Wright's spot, and left tackle. We'll talk about that a little bit later. However, the interior of the offensive line has gotten way better. So I completely agree. Dio had Dio had a down year last year. The Colts defense was such a mess, specifically the secondary. Yes, he is 25 years old. Forgot to mention that as well. And it's kind of scary that I'm starting to talk about these guys that I'm almost the same age as them. So I'm 25 later this summer. I'm becoming the same age as some of these NFL players getting huge second contracts in the league. 1 year removed from a big sack year. Yep. So we'll see how Dennis Allen can continue to improve with him. A good addition regardless to the Bears defensive line as they needed to shore that up. So love to see it overall. And we'll continue to move on. Finally, last signing of the day, one that completely took me and I think many, many people by complete surprise, and arguably my favorite signing that I think the Bears made today is going to be Grady Jarrett, defensive tackle. This is an interesting one because Grady Jarrett obviously is known 9 seasons in Atlanta, a seasoned veteran with the Falcons who spent a lot of time there. He was cut this morning in the flurry of everything else that was going on. And there was a lot being talked about on the NFL scene this morning, just being as though we were coming down from Devontae Adams getting traded yesterday, DK Metcalf getting traded yesterday. Khalil Mack news was surrounding the Bears space, being as though a lot of fans wanted him to return to Chicago. He got re-signed by the Chargers, so that was really clouding up the space. I didn't even know that Grady Jarrett got cut this morning, if I'm being completely honest with you. However, the Bears add the 32-year-old former Pro Bowl and All-Pro defensive tackle on a 3-year, $43.5 million, $28.5 million guaranteed contract. Big boy contract for Jarrett, who has consistently been one of the best defensive tackles in the league the last couple of seasons. So really love to see this addition for Chicago. It's one that came out of left field. When I saw it, I was super confused. The Bears have been linked to Jarrett with trade rumors as well as free agency rumors for the last handful of cycles now as his contract's expired, and the Bears have potentially looked to make a trade with the Atlanta Falcons. So good to see the Bears get one done here. I said it earlier. I think this might be my favorite addition that they've made so far, even maybe up there with Joe Thuney. A very sneaky All-Pro and Pro Bowl player in his past who still has gas in the tank. His career stats, 36 and a half tackles or sacks, 36 and a half sacks, 496 tackles, 126 quarterback hits, 77 tackles for a loss. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler as well as an All-Pro player. I think you can't underestimate not only, a lot of people are going to judge him based upon his age. He's 32 years old and a veteran, but you can't underestimate the leadership that he is going to bring to Chicago's locker room. He's going to be a great teacher for players like Gervon Dexter, who the Bears have up and coming on that defensive front. I'm sure he could help out Dio Odangbo as well on the outside. Probably can even pass off some advice to Montez Sweat. He is going to be great veteran leader on the other side of Joe Thuney, who also has that experience on the offensive line side of the football. So I love the Bears bringing him in despite his age. It's also worth noting that he has only missed 11 games in 9 seasons in the NFL, and 9 of those games that he missed came in one season where he went down with an injury. So Jarrett is an extremely durable player. He came back from a torn ACL. He continued to put up numbers. And it's also worth noting that he is the only defensive tackle, or there's only one defensive tackle in 2024 who played a higher percentage of snaps than Grady Jarrett. And that is Jaylen Carter, who is obviously an absolute beast with the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't want to hear about the Bears not taking him. We can talk about Darnell Wright all we want. However, Grady Jarrett, still extremely durable, still a strong player in this league, still plays a high percentage of snaps. So a 2-time Pro Bowler as well as an All-Pro nominee. Great addition here. And it seems like the theme coming into free agency for the Bears with some of these moves that they've made is just address the trenches, continue to build the trenches. They did exactly that. The interior offensive line is completely retooled. Now they add a defensive end who will likely start there, who can swing into defensive tackle. with Odengbo on the defensive side. And then they bring in a big-time starter at the nose tackle position with Jarrett. So I'm intrigued to see if the Bears end up starting Dexter or Billings alongside Grady Jarrett. Should be interesting, but not a bad situation to have, being as though you're going to have depth at that position regardless. It's tough because Billings had such a hot start last year, but Dexter is younger and has continued to put up numbers. It's a tough situation to be in, but regardless, depth is not a bad thing, and I'm sure heading into the draft, the Bears will continue to address the defensive line. Now let's talk about the NFL draft, and I think there's one burning question that everyone has here. After day one of free agency, how does this change the Bears draft plans? I'll keep it simple for you. I think the Bears draft the BPA, the best player available, regardless of who it is. Could that be Ashton Jeanty? I think with how the Bears have shored up the offensive line, knowing that they not only have pick 10, but they also have pick 39 as well as pick 41 with the trade made for Bryce Young for the Carolina Panthers, they have 2 second-round picks that are early to mid-second rounders. I think you can really go best player available. And if that means Jeanty, I think they could absolutely do it. I think you have 2 other spots you still want to address going into the draft if you're the Bears. Or a couple. I mean, I think they could use some more depth at safety after seeing Jaquan Brisker go down. Left tackle is a little bit of a concern. I think Braxton Jones has provided good value given where he was drafted a couple of years ago. However, you got to bring in competition there. There's no sugarcoating it. Defensive end, I think, is another one where you can add a player, hopefully in the first 2 rounds, regardless of where that is. Because I think you want some depth there and also someone to take over for Dio or Montez. You want a strong option coming in there behind them. Running back, I think you could add one, which is where Jeanty comes into play. My favorite, Caleb Johnson out of Iowa, comes into play. You got some other intriguing options at the running back position as well, though. Cam Skattebo out of Arizona State. You've got Omarion Hampton out of the University of North Carolina. You've got Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson out of Ohio State. So I think you only go Jeanty if you're entirely committed and under the belief that he is the best player available at that time in the draft. If he's there at number 10 overall, he could be going to the Las Vegas Raiders, who just picked up Geno Smith. They don't have a quarterback need anymore. But I think regardless of where the Bears end up going in the draft, I do think that Jeanty is absolutely on the table, but regardless, I think you go best player available. I'd love to see them attack the left tackle position, defensive end, running back. I think you can still at some point get a quality player in the draft, and there's no denying how good Jeanty's going to be, but it's a pretty expendable position, so I think you can go a ton of different ways at 10th overall. Should be interesting to see where the Bears look to add new players by way of the draft. I think it is going to be a lot of fun moving forward. Notorious TBG, you've been commenting all night. Appreciate you, my man. I know the national media and rival fans are all jokingly crowning us the offseason champs, as usual. Again, 3rd year in a row, I'd like to add. I'm wearing rose-colored glasses, but each year somehow feels different. What say you? Yeah, it's interesting. I really hope this Ben Johnson is everything that he's been chalked up to be. I absolutely believe that he's a phenomenal coach and a great offensive mind. He knows that starting or taking a look at what he did with the Detroit Lions, that all good things start up front offensively. So have continued to add to the offensive line. We'll see if the Bears look to continue to add. I think they need a wide receiver 3 if they don't bring Keenan Allen back. Maybe they look to address that in the draft with the picks that they have. But it's really going to be Caleb's show now. So I'm excited to see where things can go moving forward. It does feel a little different, though. I completely agree with you. I think with the coach, with some of these free agents and just, I don't know the last time the Bears were able to acquire 2 Pro Bowlers in one offseason. So it does feel a little different, but I'm not going to get ahead of myself. I've done that too much in the past, so I am cautiously optimistic, as I like to call it. I am expecting the worst, but hoping for, I don't even know about the best, but just hoping to be an average team. Maybe a playoff berth is a good place to start, or just a 500 record. So I appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in. Before you head out of here, please do me a favor. Drop a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on social media. Our links are down in the description. feels so good to be back doing this consistently. Really want to start consistently live streaming. I think anywhere between 2 and 4 times a week when the season gets underway. I think I want to start live streaming during away games, albeit most of the home games at Soldier Field normally, but want to have some consistent streaming going on. It saves me a lot of time. Continue to interact with you guys and share this platform where we can all talk about the Bears. So it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Bear Down Podcast. Once again, my name is Chris Malpe. It has been my pleasure, my honor, my duty, doing this for so long, a handful of years now. I think this is like my 7th free agency that I've been covering since starting Instagram and YouTube and all of this. So it's been a fun journey. And I hope that the Bears can grow as we continue to trend towards the NFL draft and continue to add some good pieces. So look out for another live stream or some sort of video coming later this week. Appreciate you guys for the support as always. And I will see you once again soon. Don't forget, always, sorry, I'm a little rusty with this still, bear down, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace out.